we want a world where we're just kind of getting quick fixes like a heroin junkie by printing more money to produce temporary economic booms? Or do we want a world where we have clean, fair money that anybody can send to anybody else and that can never be debased? We don't need fiat. We don't need money printing. We don't need the Federal Reserve. And we also don't need the latest meme coins or altcoins. None of those things are needed or wanted. We just want Bitcoin. We want a way, there's potentially a few things we want with Bitcoin. We might want to borrow against Bitcoin. We might want to have more efficient ways to send payments in Bitcoin. But at the end of the day, what we want a currency, which is Bitcoin. That's what we want.
Fred Krueger begins by addressing the buzz surrounding the concept of a Bitcoin strategic reserve. While acknowledging that such an initiative might not materialize immediately, he predicts the emergence of stablecoin legislation in the near future. Krueger highlights the role stablecoins already play in the U.S. economy, particularly as major buyers of Treasury bills. He points to figures like Howard Lutnick, whose involvement with Tether underscores the growing intersection between stablecoins and traditional finance. Krueger foresees a scenario where stablecoins gain widespread acceptance, potentially even by global giants like Amazon. This shift, he argues, would create a seamless way for consumers to transact using stablecoins, akin to digital gift certificates. He emphasizes that such developments would not only streamline transactions, but also pave the way for Bitcoin's broader utility by integrating it into everyday financial ecosystems.
Please take a little time to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on post notifications for more videos like this. You can also check out our other videos on cryptocurrencies and the overall digital asset space and drop your comments and observations in the comments section below. Everything you do helps with the YouTube algorithm and immensely contributes to the channel's growth. Thanks and enjoy the video.
There's been a lot of talk, pro and con, about this Bitcoin strategic reserve. I do think we're going to get some form of it, but it may not happen in the first 100 days. Polymarket may be right. But one thing I do think that's going to happen is I think we're going to get some stablecoin legislation. And I think that really one of the things that everybody in the Trump administration can agree on is that stablecoins are going to be a pretty good thing for the US Treasury. Tether is the largest buyer of Treasury bills right now. Howard Lutnick is Commerce Secretary. He is holding assets for Tether. He's invested in Tether, the company, and I think we're going to see a stablecoin bill pretty quickly, and I think stablecoins are going to be used a lot more in 2025. Now, what does that mean? I think that possibly might mean that even something like Amazon will accept stablecoins. So I think we were all asking when they're going to accept Bitcoin. Well, stablecoins makes a lot more sense, so you can just send your stablecoins up to Amazon. Use them like gift certificates. You can just tap into your stablecoin balance. I think you'll be able to spend your stablecoins a lot of places. And I think you'll have clear legal framework for this. I think that'll be very positive. Now, why do I think that's going to be so great for Bitcoin? Because I think it's going to unlock using Bitcoin even more, right? So if you have Bitcoin, right now, you can use an app like Cash App or Fold, and you can convert your Bitcoin as needed to fiat and then just use it on your debit card. But I think it'll be even better when people start accepting stablecoins directly on sites like Amazon. So I think that's going to be a pretty big deal. And I think, the Fed, the government, the Treasury has... they have $7 trillion that they need to come up with and refinance next year. It's just an amazing number. It's about a third of the total debt. I just think they need to look at every option they can for income. And, for them to have people buying the debt so that they can issue 0% stable coins, I think people are going to go all over. This administration is going to be really in favor of that.
There's just all these fiat leaders that have been using the power of the printing press to just buy more votes. They don't really care if the money devalues. They don't care. It benefits them and their political futures if we can have, if they can print more money, and they love doing that. So that's kind of what we're up against with Bitcoin, and Bitcoin is sort of the exact opposite. It's incorruptible money. It is something that's completely fairly launched, and so at the end of the day, it's really an ethical question. So what kind of world do you really want to live in? We don't need fiat. We don't need money printing. We don't need the Federal Reserve. And we also don't need the latest meme coins or altcoins. None of those things are needed or wanted. We just want Bitcoin. We want a way, there's potentially a few things we want with Bitcoin. We might want to borrow against Bitcoin. We might want to have more efficient ways to send payments in Bitcoin. But at the end of the day, what we want a currency, which is Bitcoin. That's what we want. We don't want to go back to a world where there's, hundreds or thousands of currencies like there were in, medieval Germany, right? There was like hundreds of currencies to transact between even different parts of Germany. They had all these different currencies. And you had sort of shops with abacuses that people used to figure out the exchange rate for bringing something in from, say, Antwerp in Belgium, to bring it in to somewhere like Hamburg. You had to go through 10 currencies, and you had to figure out some kind of exchange rate. We don't want that kind of situation either. We want a universal standard of value. And I think we found that. And I think that standard of value is going to be Bitcoin. Now, whether you like it or not, that's where it is. And so I think the game theory of Bitcoin is going to make the world a little less corrupt, or a lot less corrupt. And I think that's really the key word here, is corruption. We need to make the world a less corrupt place.
Krueger's disdain for altcoins is palpable. He decries the predatory practices of many altcoin projects, from excessive pre-mining to aggressive marketing campaigns that mislead investors. These projects, he argues, represent a betrayal of the principles that Bitcoin embodies. In a particularly striking anecdote, Krueger recounts a conversation with Tomer Strolight, who likened Ethereum's evolution to recreating the evils of the fiat system within crypto. This critique extends to newer coins launched with questionable motives, further highlighting the stark contrast between Bitcoin's integrity and the corruption prevalent in other corners of the cryptocurrency world.
We want a world where we're just kind of getting quick fixes like a heroin junkie by printing more money to produce temporary economic booms. Or do we want a world where we have clean, fair money that anybody can send to anybody else and that can never be debased? So, I think most of us Bitcoiners have come to the realization that if we could possibly have such fair, clean money, it would be better. And that these kind of quick economic fixes that Mephistopheles was pushing to the emperor, they're really like a drug pusher pushing some crack cocaine to an addict. We don't need that. We don't want that. We want a system that's fair and that's not rigged, so that everybody loses. Now, a lot of people will say, the only reason you say that, Fred, is because you got your bags of Bitcoin and you're going to benefit. Of course, nobody is doing this necessarily out of completely altruistic reasons. We're also in it for the money. But at the end of the day, we're all going to die. And some of us are going to go spend whatever money we get on stupid stuff like Lambos. That's just the case. You know, I'm not going to be around 30 years from now. I might, there may be a chance I'm around 30, but I'm certainly not going to be around 40 years from now, right? That would be a miracle if I would last that long. So somewhere in the next 30 years, I'm gone. And the question is, you know, and Michael Saylor's gone, you know, so like, you know, and both Michael Saylor and I have enough money for this particular lifetime right now. We don't need Bitcoin to go up to do this, right? You know, it's not about the money. So the money is going to, and so our whatever we have is going to get dissipated in the sands of time. It doesn't matter. But this next generation, they can have a world with a fair monetary basis. And that's a better world. And it's a world where it is not as easily corruptible. Now, this is sort of the gist of my tweet. I just want to add a few little things to it. The first is about altcoins, and I think they're very, very corrupt, right? And I was sitting next to Tomer Strolight in the bus at this event, and Tomer we were talking about ETH, and he said, you know, Fred, it's really like in just 3 years, they managed to recreate all the evils of the fiat system in cryptocurrency. Like it's kind of created this pyramid-like thing where they could kind of print more Ethereum, where they could change the rules, where they could fork it because somebody hacked their system. Every single thing they did was ethically incorrect. And so they managed to recreate fiat. Now, people launching coins like, there's something called Brett now on the base chain, these coins. They launch a coin and they get half the supply for for nothing. They just give themselves half the supply or more. And then they are spending all this money on advertising, on promotion, and getting, you know, services like Altcoin Daily to promote these things. And they were promoting them right at Michael Saylor's party, which is amazing. But it tells you the tentacles of corruption, they're deep. And so, you know, we don't need that kind of corruption in our Bitcoin world, so I think
Krueger's advocacy for Bitcoin transcends personal gain. He emphasizes that his support for Bitcoin is driven by a desire to leave a better world for future generations. While he acknowledges the financial incentives for Bitcoin adoption, he frames the debate as a legacy issue, one that goes beyond individual wealth to shape the ethical foundation of the global economy. By championing Bitcoin, Krueger envisions a world where money serves as a tool for empowerment rather than exploitation. This vision, he argues, is worth striving for, even in the face of entrenched opposition and skepticism.
Please like and subscribe my channel.